Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I think on our side of the House, at least, there's been some competition over who has the biggest constituency today. I can't compete on size, but I do believe I have the most beautiful constituency in this House. So from the rugged splendour of the Midop Moors to the picturesque village of Cawthorne, the classical setting of Wentworth Castle and the stunning landscapes of the Derwent Valley, my Penistone and Stocksbridge constituency is a wonderful place to live. And rural life has many advantages. It retains a sense of community that's often absent in big cities, and a connection with the physical realm, the seasons, the nature, the weather, that reminds us of important realities and natural limits that can sometimes be forgotten in an increasingly virtual world. But for many people, rural life is not an idyllic existence. My constituents share many of the challenges with urban areas, like the rising cost of living, access to affordable family housing. But we also face some unique disadvantages that highlight the pressing need to include rural Britain in the levelling up agenda. And to state the obvious, and as other members have said, the lower population density of rural places means that service models that work in urban areas are much less viable in our communities. And my honourable friend, the member for Ludlow, and the honourable member for Westmoreland have put this very eloquently, that the metrics that are used to describe viability of urban services just don't work in rural areas. They have to have special cases. But I want to speak particularly about bus services, which over recent months have declined significantly in my constituency. And residents of Stocksbridge, Grenoside, Chapeltown, High Green, Ecclesfield, Warncliffe-Side, Outerbridge and other villages have seen services reduced or even disappear altogether, cutting people off from jobs, training, education, healthcare and leisure. And the impact of this on everyday life can't be overstated. The old are left stranded at bus stops, the young arrive late for school, and workers are forced to pay for taxis to get to work. Local employers offering good jobs have told me of the difficulty they have in recruiting because their premises are no longer served by bus. The vision of levelling up is to spread opportunity evenly around the country. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, it really doesn't matter how much opportunity there is if you can't get to it. So what's gone wrong in South Yorkshire, in rural South Yorkshire in particular, and how can we fix it? Well, services were struggling even before COVID, but the post-pandemic environment has been a perfect storm for rural bus services in South Yorkshire. And from my meetings with Stagecoach and First Bus, it's clear that patronage has fallen sharply at the same time as fuel costs have increased. Now, I was pleased to be successful over the summer in persuading the government to release a third round of the COVID bus recovery grant, but crucially, the South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authorities Bus Service Improvement Plan bid failed completely, which resulted in our region receiving not a single penny, whilst neighbouring authorities in Manchester and Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire received tens of millions of pounds. Now, I'm grateful for the Bus Minister, my honourable friend, the member for North West Durham, for meeting me this morning to discuss this issue. But can I urge the Minister to press this matter with his government colleagues? My constituents pay the same taxes as everybody else. It's not my constituents' fault that our combined authorities bid didn't meet the acceptable standards. So things may look bleak, but I do believe there are some glimmers of hope. We've had some local successes with the new number 25 and number 26 buses around Penistone and a new service that connects Northern College with Barnsley. These services have reconnected isolated villages, and they're based on an innovative small bus model pioneered by the excellent South Pennine Community Transport. In Stocksbridge and Deepcar, we've got plans to use our Towns Fund to commission new bus services to get residents to travel around the town. And Stocksbridge is incredibly steep for anyone who's been there. You absolutely need a bus to get back up the hill. We're also progressing with plans to restore a passenger rail service along the Upper Don Valley, and we have a Levelling Up Fund bid to improve the Penistone line. But we need to accept that a one-size-fits-all approach to public transport just doesn't work. Rural services will never be as profitable as urban routes, but if they are designed sensibly about what communities actually want, if they are regular and reliable with easy-to-understand timetables, then they can be self-sustaining, as we've seen with our new routes. Ultimately, levelling up rural transport requires a localism agenda, putting commissioning in the hands of local people in our town, our parish and our local councils, and with a funding model that recognises the unique challenges of rural life.